Back in the year '86, the first camera battle took place at Merry Buffalo Chicken Wings Festival. And what are you doing? We got a battle, my friend. We got a battle. Fuji XT4 versus Canon R6. Who's gonna win today? What the hell are you doing?
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Can you guess which is which? I am shocked to see the Canon on your right is the one freaking. When I get here and I'm darker, it is not liking that at all. I don't know why I seem so much better exposed over there. Everything's equal. I don't know what I'm doing. Teach me how to expose a video. Somebody. Philip. Gerald. Help me. I tried to make them equal. We're both at Tony 2.8 for the correct aperture exposure, because that's the best Canon can do. ISO 640 on both, and then shutter. I matched them at first. 96-100 is as close as we could get, but the Canon looked so dark. I was like, what? So I backed off to 1/60th. So advantage Canon, technically, but not when I move. Why are you doing that? I can't find the metering modes in here. Like, what is it exposing for? Like, just the window, that's all it cares about. What if we move? Let's both move. On the fly, switching it up, adapting to his environment. Okay, it looks a little closer now. Who has better red shirts? I'm gonna use the Canon LUT on the Canon, Fuji LUT on the Fuji. So we're gonna do a little vlog battle outside. Who has the better stabilization? I won't use that lens. We're on the Fuji XT4 23mm Tony 2. And then with the Canon R6, we have the 15-35 Tony 2.8. We're both in their log format. So when we go vlog, I'll probably use the kit lens, because every time I use that Samyang, it's just so soft looking. It's bullshit. So we're just in 1080p right now. Let's switch to 4K. Who will lose me? Okay. Let's switch to 4K. All right, I messed up. Oh boy. I switched the Fuji out of all eye back to long op, so I didn't have to work with 400 megabit files, and that kicked me out of 4K. So we got a couple comparisons with 1080p on the Fuji versus 4K oversampled from the Canon. So let's just a little side by side here. I'll still show you the footage, but if you're wondering why the Fuji's soft as shit, that would be why. So next to me is Canon Boy, just laughing it up in 4K, but we're in 4K now, so this is what they look like in 4K. If you wanted to see that, and eventually I do cut out the middleman of the window. Canon Boy in this position, 4K, take that. I'm a moron. And I started off the vlog in 4K as well, so eventually I realize it, and then we switch back. I mean 1080p, I started, oh God, just leave, I'll leave. Is there a difference now? Because I noticed the Canon killed the Fuji in 1080p, but I had the Samyang on and I was likely out of focus. I nail it and then I lean in like a moron. And did Canon just not autofocus in 1080p? And 4K is fine now? What kind of life hack is that in the opposite direction? Okay, I see you now. I see you now. We should be at the same advantage depth of field wise. We should be similar, because this is a Tony 3 equivalent 2.8 here. All right, I adjusted them a little bit. The Fuji was tilted, the Canon was pushed up against a fence. Oh, a bunch of bullshit. I'm the worst reviewer on the planet. So first impressions of the R6, I am impressed. I'm impressed. I like those colors. It hasn't overheated on me yet. I will do a test. What I'm curious to see is, if I film in 4K and it overheats, can I then film in 120p? I need to know that. Can I do some B-roll after that? And then if I have to fall back on the 1080p, all right, we'll do it. We'll do it. It's not bad, 1080p. And the full frame magic is real. As soon as I switched, I was like, oh boy. It's the Sony a7S III and these cameras, they have it. Full frame is magic. That's just the truth. Can't deny it. Okay, before we go outside, let's do a little autofocus test in here now that the Canon seems to be fixed. Who wins?
This is a song about love. Live with birds. Doves following you around with gloves.
Yeah, man.
It'll happen to Fred Dermick, yo. I heard he got run over by a helicopter. Then he felt awful after. Must have been awkward in a sea of toxic ostriches.
Beaten out Mothman prophecies. Victims of rhythmic apocalyptic shit.
I talked to a zebra. Changed her middle name to liberal. Fed her grassroots.
Fiberglass. And single little sums ringing bells in Deutschland. Hollow withers with splinters of kindlewick.
He leads the goats into a rope without knots.
Ropes of rose and rowboats, stray cats and split baseball bats.
Splinters of Penelope Williams.
Alrighty. We're on the Fuji kit lens on your left. 28mm equivalent. I can't hold this one that far out. It's so heavy. So we're at like 24 mils just to try to match the frame. Look at us go. No digital stab on either. That is heavy. That is bullshit. So yes, we are on the latest firmware on the R6 1.1 and the lens is now updated 1.07. So how's that performing? I want to zoom out. That's what I would be doing. 15 mils. So is the warp gone? How are those trees handling life? Oh, that was so stupid to test it without that. How's the autofocus now? My God. First the Fuji. How you doing on it? No digital stab. I find you need it on the Fuji. It helps so much, but we're already so tight on that 24 mils. That ain't fair. Look at the size of this thing. It's too big. That's what he said. So is either one smoother? You'd think the Canon would have to be a little shakier just because I can see it shaking. It's too heavy and it's shaking. Whereas the Fuji's not shaking as much. Is the autofocus losing me anywhere? My God, right now. We changed the autofocus settings. We were +1 tracking 0 speed. Now we're +4 tracking -2 speed. I find you have to change it for indoors and outdoors. That's why you can't pay attention to all these tests people are doing in their studios. It's like they're just going back like I did earlier today. That's not going to help you outside when the shade comes and hits you and the exposure changes. Oh my God, what's happening? Okay, so let's do a little stabilization on their own test. No digital. And I'm going to switch over to the Fuji and then we're going to put digital on. So who's handling life? That is so heavy. Versus the Fuji. Both have lens and IBIS, so that's cool. Now we're going to switch to the digital. Who will have the advantage in fake life? Okay, as you can see, we both got a little tighter now. I like the way Fuji exposes for my face a little better, it seems, as we're in the shade. Canon's still clipping the highlights. Now it's not. No zebras. By the way, I set the zebras in the last video to 95%, but I didn't turn them on. Didn't realize that was a different setting on that one. All right, so how's the Fuji stab going? Has it lost me in autofocus much? Probably has. You always get it back and you're like, ah, damn it, I'm out. So digital, everything. This is the best stab Fuji can do. This lens too is pretty darn good. Not without the digital though. We good? Versus the Canon, we're zoomed back out to 15 mils. Digital on, we good to go on it. I don't like the way it exposes, but when I get it back into the computer, it looks fine. So stop complaining out loud. I did bring the Samyang just to test it, but I wanted to see the autofocus performance outside. So have we learned something? Something? Okay, let's switch to the Sammy lens. Okay, you will not believe the user error that just hit our lives harder than a hurricane. Somehow, I switched out of all eye on the Fuji, and that reset it to HD. I don't remember when that happened. It's possible that that whole indoor test and this has been in HD versus 4K. Now we're in 4K, right? Oh God, it hurts to be me. Oh, I should not be allowed to do this. Don't be me in test cameras. There should be stickers warning people against this. Oh boy. I stopped this one down to 2.8 just to hope that we're in focus. Oh, that hurts so much. Okay, who handles the exposure better? Who handles it? I can't even look. I don't have the energy. We've done this 15 times already. Why do we keep doing it? And we're not in focus on that one until here. Oh, help. Okay, now we're in faithful on the Canon, which means we're down to 8-bit. A lot of zebras peeking in here. The Savannah. Fuji's in Eterna, choosing to have some zebras in our lives, but not as many. Not as many. Oh, wow, those zebra hoods. All right, we're adjusting. And there we are. I'll do a proper F-log when we sit down in the park. We'll just examine that sky. Who has the final dynamic range king mode enabled? Who's doing it now, though? Seems like they're just exposing different. Canon's exposing for me. Fuji's prioritizing the highlights, and you can't change metering modes in the Fuji. Have you noticed that in video? You can't change anything. It does a good job. I'm never like, oh, damn it, why'd you expose for that? Oh, except when you're in Eterna, outside, like now. But Canon does the same thing. I'm trying to face the sun. I'd have to walk backwards. Will you guide me, angels? Angels guide me. Still no signs of overheating on the Canon. I gotta be honest with you, for my uses, it doesn't feel like the Canon will ever overheat. I'll stop it eventually, and I am curious to see if I can do 120 frames once it does. And it will eventually. So who's winning so far? Is one more pleasing? Is one worth the extra weight? That's a lot heavier and more expensive, especially with that lens. This lens was like $300. This one's like $2,500. Insane. That's American dollars. That's a lot. Okay, let's switch to F-log. We'll sit in the park. Final thoughts and see the dynamic range sky highlight abilities in full manual mode. Alright, so we're back on the kit lens with the Fuji. Maybe we're sharp, maybe we're not. I'm trying to match them. This is hard. Canon only lets you go to 1/4000th of a shutter. We're at 2.8, and the lowest ISO is 400. We're both in log. Fuji's up at 8000. So what I've done is try to get the 95% zebras to disappear completely, and we can't on the Canon just yet. So we have to stop down. That's the only way. That's pretty much gone. So just on the screen, it looks like Fuji has more dynamic range because I'm a little brighter, but maybe it's different in the computer, but it's close. I mean, the Canon EOS R, that was blown out completely. Like it was complete white sky, no blue whatsoever, versus the Fuji's like perfectly exposed. And I tried to match my face exposure. So if I did that, like right now, it looks like my face is equally as bright on the screens. And we have similar amounts of zebras, so it's not like, it's very close. Full frame can compete with tiny APS-C. How fantastic is that? Okay, I forgot to test something. I want to see, I never do this when I'm testing the dynamic range. I never overexpose the sky. There's my mom.
Oh,
What did you think? You wouldn't be in the shot?
I thought it in the front when I was dancing. I was in the shot.
They're pointed at me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, so I never overexpose and see if we can bring back the sky, or underexpose and see if we can lift up the shadows. So right now, I know they don't look the similar. Hey, buddy. But we're at exact same settings. 2.8, 1/4000th, and 640 ISO. Let's overexpose both and see who brings back those highlights. Okay, I would say these are pretty equally overexposed. There's tons of zebras. Oh, there you go. I kicked a soccer ball. So, all right, let's bring back the highlights. Who has the sky now? Any of us? We're back on the Samyang lens, by the way. Manual focus. Did he do it? Right here. Is it sharper than this somehow? I doubt it. There's the kid playing soccer. Will he score a goal? No, he did not. All right, let's underexpose now. Okay, I can't guarantee that we're equally underexposed now. They just look similar. Canon is struggling on that autofocus. Fuji is not. So let's lift up the shadows. Who's cleaner? Is there any noise over here in that region? It's not very scientific because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. 4,000th over here. We're both at Tony 4. 640 ISO. It should be. Although that's double. That's an 8,000. That's a 4,000. That hurts. The user error is real, my friend. But there, now we know that. So let's finish off the video over there in the sun. So I think I'm gonna leave. What do you think of that? Who won? Let me know down below. Thanks for buying a Camera Conspiracies t-shirt and these cameras through the affiliate links available to you. And check the description for Camera Canada links. Thank you so much, Camera Canada. Why didn't I say that at the beginning? Oh, nobody's watching now. They all clicked off. Oh, I'm a bad business partner. All right, we're done. Subscribe for more videos. I'll see you later.